You ever met someone who just decided to hate you for no reason? Like, no matter what you did, polite, quiet, respectful, they were determined to make your life miserable? That was my landlord. But what she didn't know was, I don't lose quietly. So when she tried to run me out of my home, I turned the tables and watched her lose her job, her discount rent, and her mind, all in one glorious week. If you've ever been bullied by someone who thought they had power over you, whether it was a boss, a neighbor, or a landlord, hit that like button right now. Because the story? This is what it looks like when karma doesn't just tap you on the shoulder, it body slams you into reality. A few years ago, I moved into a nice little duplex. The kind of place where you finally exhale and think, yeah, this will do. The owner, let's call him Mr. Walker, was great. Honest guy, reasonable rent, fair lease. I put down a solid deposit, moved in, and thought I was set. Then I met Giselle. She wasn't the owner. She was the on-site landlord. Mr. Walker owned 5 duplexes in the area, and he let Giselle handle day-to-day stuff like collecting rent, scheduling repairs, and keeping things in order. In exchange, she got her rent cut in half. Nice deal if you're not a power-hungry control freak. From the moment I met her, she hated me. You know that forced smile people give you when they're sizing you up? Yeah, that was her greeting. She lived in the other half of my duplex, so she had front row seats to everything I did. If my friends parked 1 inch over the invisible property line, she was out there, clipboard in hand, screaming about rules. If I played music past 9:01 p.m., my phone would light up with her number. If I coughed too loud after quiet time, she'd bang on the shared wall. She was a walking HOA manual with anger issues. At first, I told myself, it's annoying, but I can handle it. I'll just finish the lease and move closer to work. But then I found out why she hated me, and suddenly it all made sense. Turns out, Giselle had a friend who wanted my half of the duplex. She pushed the owner to rent it to her, but the woman's credit was trash. Mine, on the other hand, was spotless. Mr. Walker chose me. And Giselle? She took it personally. So for the next several months, she did everything in her power to make me miserable. Rent checks lost. Maintenance requests ignored. Constant passive-aggressive comments like, you know, some tenants just don't fit in around here. I started keeping every email, every text. I knew something told me this woman was going to try something before I moved out. A few weeks before my lease was up, I noticed water pooling near the water heater. Not a small leak. Enough to soak the floor every day. I dried it up, put towels down, and emailed Giselle immediately. No response. A week later, I followed up, friendly, polite, but firm. Still nothing. Another few days, another email. Hey! A plumber friend looked at it and says it could cause serious damage. Can we get it fixed soon? Finally, she replied with 5 infuriating words. I will look into it. And then radio silence. That's when I realized she was trying to run the clock out. If the leak damaged the floor, she could blame me during the final inspection and keep my deposit. And just when I thought she couldn't get any more petty, she walked right up to me one morning, watering her flowers like the queen of the courtyard, and said, "You are keeping it spotless in there, right? Because I'm a stickler for inspections. If you want a deposit back, you better pass a white glove test." That smug look on her face. That's when something in me flipped. Okay, Giselle, you want to play? Let's play. A week before my final rent check was due, I saw Mr. Walker, the actual owner, walking around the neighborhood. I hadn't seen him in months. And guess who wasn't around? Giselle. Opportunity had just knocked, and I was about to invite it in for coffee. I went out, waved him down, and said, "Hey, just wanted to say thanks for renting to me. I really like living here." He smiled, asked why I was moving, and said he'd been happy to have me as a tenant. And then it hit me. Checkmate. I said, "Hey, since you're here, would you mind doing a move-out inspection with me? Just to make sure everything looks good before I leave." He said, "Sure, why not?" We walked through the place together. He nodded approvingly at everything. "Looks great. You've kept this in really good shape." And then we got to the water heater. I paused, looked at the soaked towels I'd laid out just the night before, and I said, slow and serious. I hope we can come to some kind of understanding about this. He frowned. What's going on here? I showed him the leak, the water, the towels. I explained how I'd emailed Giselle multiple times. Then I pulled out my printed email trail. He flipped through them, his face turning redder by the second. She never told me about any of this, he said quietly. Are there other things she's been ignoring? Oh, was there ever. I showed him every email she ghosted me on, every ignored maintenance request. He sighed, then said, You know what? I think we're good here. You'll get your full deposit back. And right then, I saw my opening. I had one rent payment left, $750. I said, How about instead of me writing you a check for $750 and you writing me a check for $500 deposit, I just give you $250 and call it even? He shrugged. That works for me. He signed the paperwork, shook my hand, and walked out smiling. I'd just ended Giselle's career. She just didn't know it yet. A few nights later, I dropped the $250 check into the mail slot. Same as always. A few hours later, my door shook and pounding. Giselle, red-faced, hair wild, rage vibrating off her like static. You didn't pay your full rent, she screamed. You owe $750. I can have you evicted. I took a slow sip of my drink and said, calmly, Oh, no worries. Mr. Walker already did the inspection. We agreed on the deposit offset. $750 minus $500 deposit equals $250. We're square. Her eyes went wide. You could see her brain glitching like a computer that just got hit with a blue screen of death. That's not how it works, she sputtered. I do the inspections. You follow the rules like everyone else. Spit literally flew out of her mouth. I said, Take it up with the owner. Now, if you'll excuse me, you're on my porch and it's quiet hours. And then, slowly, deliberately, I closed the door in her face. Through the peephole, I watched her freeze, fuming, realizing she had no power left. That image, her mouth hanging open, her brain rebooting, I will treasure it until the end of time. A few days later, Mr. Walker came by again. He wanted to fix the water heater before the next tenant moved in. As he worked, he casually mentioned, My daughter is actually moving into this unit next month. She's going to take over the on-site landlord duties. I blinked. Oh, so Giselle's leaving? He nodded. Yeah, she told me she can't afford to pay full rent anymore. I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. Her half-rent deal? Gone. Her authority? Gone. Her job? Gone. She tried to ruin my peace and lost everything she thought gave her power. You know what I realized? Some people need to feel in control, not because they actually are, but because they're terrified of what happens when they're not. And when you finally take that control away, they crumble. If that ending felt satisfying, hit that like button right now. Tell me in the comments, what's the best revenge you've ever seen someone pull off? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because karma never sleeps, and neither do we.